Anyway, next question comes from Milton. As you know, recently the WWE Superstars did a long journey to Saudi Arabia. Do you recall any long journeys traveling the world with WWE? And did you do anything to pass the time? Milton Gaffer from Newcastle, England. I got a lot of people from England listening to this show, and I appreciate it very much, all the way across the pond. Man, I tell you what, it depends on what you're talking. You got to be talking about flying. You know, when we were flying back in the day, you know, we went to South Africa, we went to England, Germany, all those places, and now they're going way more places than we went back in the day. You know, going to Australia, you know, what we did, what was going on back in my day was drinking. If we was on an 8-hour flight, I was probably going to drink for 4 or 5 hours and sleep for 2. And I had kind of the crew of guys that I hung around with. I won't mention any names, but man, that's what I did to pass the time. It didn't matter if we was going, you know, 8 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours. A big part of that time was going to be drinking, and that's just the way it was for me. And if I woke up during the flight, I'd start drinking some more and then go back to sleep. And that's the way that I passed time on those flights. And this is, you know, back in the day before Wi-Fi, all the technology and stuff like that. They were playing movies and shit like that, but man, I don't like to watch movies on airplanes. To me, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of boring. And me and a couple of guys would, you know, end up in 1 or 2 rows together and start shooting the breeze, telling stories, booking the territory, just talking shit. And that was camaraderie. You know, that's what we did back in the day, man. Just hang out and did a lot of drinking. And a lot of guys, you know, that weren't into that. A lot of guys just go to sleep and do things, but that wasn't the way I operated. And you asked me the question. So that's how we passed the time. And I understand that once you get to Saudi Arabia, this is just like when we went to Kuwait that one time many years ago. You can drink on the airplane over there, or you better have your own, because I don't think they had alcohol on the airplane. I did, but I don't think it provided it. And I knew once we got there, there was no alcohol to be found. If you didn't bring it, you weren't going to have it. Although the one time they asked a bunch of the WWF superstars, they said, "Hey man, do you guys want to go scuba diving tomorrow?" And so I raised my hand and said, "Hell yeah, man." And so me, Undertaker, Owen Hart, a bunch of other guys go out there in the middle of nowhere, and there was a case of Heineken beer that somehow magically appeared. And I remember sitting on the front of that boat after we went scuba diving, and nobody trained, none of us. A bunch of idiots out there, a bunch of crazy-ass pro wrestlers out there on a boat. What was it, the Gulf of Kuwait, whatever it was? The instructor was trying to give us a quick 411, but you're talking about guys that have been in the business forever. You're talking about pro wrestlers. Ain't nobody listening to you. Everybody puts on their tank, puts on their mask, puts on their fins, and then goes down. And the instructor says, if you go down to the end of the anchor rope where the anchor is, and we'll meet there. Shit. Ain't nobody listening to that guy. All the boys was swimming around. It was probably about 30 foot of water. It wasn't that deep, but 30 foot of water is plenty deep to drown in. Plenty deep for shit to go wrong in. Everybody's out there swimming around, doing their own thing, and I was down there for quite a while. I got bad ears. All that pressure down there was my ears so bad. I didn't like scuba diving, so I come on back to the top, and I'll never forget. I was sitting on the top of that boat with the Undertaker, leaned up against the windshield of the boat, case of Heineken, and there we were, just sitting there drinking a couple of cold ones, while everybody's out there scuba diving. I just come out, and that was that famous story where Owen Hart didn't know how to deflate that bladder that they had on all of us so he could sink for buoyancy. And Owen Hart had all the scuba diving gear on, and he was basically just swimming circles around the boat because he didn't know how to deflate that bladder.